Good evening, and welcome to the Heikadelic Show. We would like to take this moment to let you know that viewer and listener discretion is strongly advised. So sit back, have yourself a nice cool drink or hot drink, and enjoy the show. And welcome once again to the Heikadelic Show.
Hey, this is Spiffy Vengeance, and I'm reporting for the Heikadelic Show. In behind me, you can see the world's going on as we speak. It's amazing. It's a light show. It's over the Pickering Darlington nuke plant, but we're not sure what's going on. We think it's aliens, because if you watch, we've been watching this for almost an hour now, and the light show is incredible. What we thought was just a storm appears to be possibly alien invading the Durham region. This is Stiffy Vengeance, and I am going to try and stay awake and watch the show behind me, and hopefully I won't get probed. See you on the Heikadelic Show Monday night.
You better subscribe to Pine Tree Line Outdoors, and here's why. Have a look. Time, Aubrey Falls. Why are we here? What is this abomination behind us? Okay.
All right, guys, get ready to go fishing with Mitchell out on Lake Simcoe. You guys ready? Yeah! And we're out in the middle of the lake fishing with Mitchell. There's little towns of huts out here. Very hard to see, but freaking awesome day. All the lines are in the water, minnows are happy. Come on, let's go. Here, fishy, fishy. Come on, there we go. Woohoo!
Whoa!
Monday.
Whoa, we're getting all switched around.
Whoa,
Oh, it's pretty crazy.
Gentlemen.
Pretty crazy.
Whoa.
There we go.
Hey, Mel. Hey, Joe. Mel and Joe.
Welcome once again to the Heikadelic Show. And Melanie's first again. Wow.
Wow.
What
Mel
a
and
champ.
Joe.
So where's Deb and who else?
Sandra.
Yeah.
Kathy's been.
Well,
Oh,
there's
there's
Kathy.
Kathy.
Hello, all. So, yeah, how's it going, guys? How was your weeks? Like your
Oh,
weeks?
The weeks.
How was your
Yeah,
week?
it's been that-
Week?
It's been that long, right?
Yeah. Another 7 days, yeah.
Well, it has been fun, I tell you that.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
get out and do some ice drinking?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes. Yeah, it's my wife's been going out with my daughter and my buddy and the four of us, and we're just going steady. Bump,
Been
bump,
going,
bump. Yeah, well, it's a short season, right? So you got to have fun,
going. Yeah.
right?
How long do you usually get? Oh, wow. Okay, George.
Come
George
on.
is thirsty, apparently.
Yes. All right, let's get her done. Cheers.
Kenny's.
Mm.
Oh, there it is. All right. Cheers.
Ah. So what were you saying? How long do you get what?
Yeah, how long do you usually get to go out? What do you get? About a month? Like 4
Well,
weeks all winter?
Now, it all depends on when we get a good freeze up. It all depends on the weather, right?
Yeah.
Some years it's not good till January. We've been out in December, so average, let's say the middle of January, it's solid, ready to go, and then
Right.
it ends March 15th all the time. That's the government's date. All the huts off by March 15th, no matter what. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad weather.
March
Yeah.
15th. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen my friend, as he calls it, Keswick ice fishing.
Right.
He goes out with his four-wheeler in March and
Yeah.
a canoe,
Uh-huh.
and he paddles to his hut, and then they like hook it all up and they try and pull it out of the water with using sticks.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, is that like something that happens quite often, or is that just because you just waited too late?
Yeah. What happens is the reason why the ministry has picked that date, March 15th. Usually we have good ice up until then, right? And again, yeah, if you wait a little later, you never know what's going to happen. And we've had the odd year where the ice is breaking up like a week early.
Yeah.
So it's up to you then to get it off by that date. And some people, it'll be okay, and boop, you go, your hut's gone, right?
Yeah.
Or just the roof, just the top of the roof sticking up out of the ice,
A lot of
and then it's your responsibility to get it out.
You have to
And-
register
and-
them, right?
What's
Yeah,
that?
they're all registered. They have serial numbers on them,
Yeah.
which you make up, right? But if it goes down, you have to get it up. It's your cost.
Well, it's an environmental issue if they, find, because
Yeah.
they used to find all these ice shacks and everything underwater.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like most of the organized ice, like I know up in Northern Ontario, it's the same thing. There's a rule, but you can also, some of them you can pay towers to, like, if you can't be at your ice hut, you can pay somebody to actually pull it to the shore at least.
Yeah.
And some of them will, dry dock them. So there's a lot of services if you're in an organized ice
Well,
town.
a lot of the outfits, like outfitters, like Mitchell's, and there's a couple other ones. You could just call them and say, hey, I'll
Yep.
flip you $20 or whatever. Can you tow my hut back to shore or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And they do it.
I
At the
mean,
beginning of the year, they'll take them out for you too. You got to pay them. You got to give the guy something, but they'll do it
you
for
you gotta think the gas and time, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
If
have
they
you ever
if
been
they
in a
took
bombardier?
The only thing I'd be worried about
Huh?
is that they find my premium spot.
Oh,
No, I'd be like, I'd have the spot where like the weed grew and the beer was handed to you and stuff, right?
Yeah.
how
So,
did we get
yeah.
from ice fishing to weed? Oh, yeah, I guess it is kind of symbiotic because,
Yes.
like,
All
so
about
up
the
in
weed.
Sudbury in Northern Ontario, when like the ice hut towns was a cheap way to have your own like winter cottage. So you build your ice shack. It could be like 8x4 or whatever.
Yep.
And you go out there, you literally stay out there a weekend. And it
Yeah.
was great because it was a community. They would plow little roads between the ice sheds and
Mhm.
and basically name them a lot, right? And
Yep.
it was a lot of fun. Then they had, because people would bring their families up, they had all these areas like skating areas. So it was this almost like a ongoing weekend festival. But it was a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
fun. It was cheap. It gave
Mhm.
gave us something to do instead of robbing liquor stores and stuff like that,
I know, eh?
allegedly. But
Robin
never
liquor
did.
stores in
Actually.
Sudbury.
Yeah.
On
Yeah,
a
we were
Sudbury
just,
Saturday night.
There's more
Robin
liquor
liquor
stores in
stores.
Sudbury per capita than the rest of Ontario.
Well, yeah, probably.
I
I've been
can
to
say that
Sudbury.
because I live there.
I went to Sudbury. I played at the Asylum.
Yes, I played there. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got an Airbnb. And it was a beautiful little place.
Yeah.
But literally, there was cars going in and out of the house right beside us all night.
Yep.
Not that I've been around, but I've been around enough that I know if vehicles are going in and out of a house all night, somebody's selling drugs there.
Well, it could be
Yeah.
that. Could be illegal
Fast
gambling. It
food.
could be all kinds of things, right? But
Mhm.
maybe not. Maybe it just, somebody's got OCD and keeps going in and out of their driveway. I
Yep.
know
No.
out in the Schwiggity, Schwa,
Yeah.
My
I
last
used to live in it,
house.
south side.
Yeah, I was north side, so.
Oh,
But anyway,
it was Wentworth and Cedar.
so I had this great
Oof.
neighbor behind me, and this Italian guy, and he was just, he's a bit of a craftsman and good guy and everything, but he ended up having to leave. He got sick. So I guess they rented the place or something, but that would happen every night about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. I'd hear a truck pull up, and then they'd start hauling out these contractor garbage bags out of the basement. Because I could see over, like we lived in a fishbowl, and I could see over the, right what was going on anyway. But yeah, so I was tempted one night to go out and say, okay, what exactly are you guys doing, right? But
Yeah.
and it was like a black SUV Escalade.
Yeah.
You fit all of the friggin' marks. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of that goes on.
You want to know
Oh, yeah.
my biggest problem? Okay, I grew up farm boy. I grew up on a dairy farm, right?
Yep.
When I moved, I went from, if anybody knows Durham area, I went from Sanford, which is just a little outside of Uxbridge.
Okay.
I went from there, from a farm, to the south end of Oshawa, Wentworth and Cedar. So,
Wow.
right
That's a
by
big change.
the bar there.
Yep.
Right.
So, anyways, I had to deal with a helicopter flying over every night, the ghetto bird.
Yeah.
That's what they called it. And all night,
Yeah.
right in my living room window, man. I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Is it just normal?
Did you get the spotlight?
It's not normal.
So where was that? In South End, Oshawa, or the farm?
The south end of Oshawa.
Oshawa.
So that helicopter would come up on my end because I think it was like around Roslyn area. Yeah, that was kind of but I definitely saw it every night, and it was a pain because they'd have their searchline, which
Dude, and I'm telling you, it was right in my window, like nightly. Like I was in I was in the real, like, the shitty area, right?
Wow, it's just an area, right?
I was right.
We used
to
see that.
just
we used to
an
see
area.
that helicopter a lot, and I remember one night I was out for a dip in the pool there late at night after a few drinks, and they came right over top and they lit up the backyard. It was so hilarious. They just boop right on the pool. It was like, hi.
I've been in that spotlight a couple of times actually. Yeah, once on the 401, which I won't go into that.
Were you driving a Bronco, a white Bronco?
No, it's a long story, so I won't bore you with that. But yeah, I got stopped by everything in the spotlights there, and it's all going on. But there's one time I was jogging down here, and there's like a creek, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And I usually wear white. I'll wear a white T-shirt over whatever, my jacket in the winter time because it's cold. But you want to put something light on, right? I had white shorts on. Yeah. I'm running, and next thing I think, I'm like, hey, I've got the big, song and dance routine for you, lads. It's like, boom, here I am. Obviously saw movement in the park.
What they did too, I found out a lot is a lot of the regional police stations, they only had that one helicopter, and it was stationed at the Oshawa airport, and a lot of practicing was done above Oshawa.
Yeah, that's right.
So they would fly around at night. That's when they got the chopper, and
3 o'clock in the morning in my freaking front window. Ask me what I was doing up at 3 o'clock in the morning in Oshawa on the South End, eh?
You're house cleaning.
Oh, let me tell you a story about that. And this some people may get this joke and other people may not. But
all right.
So when I lived there, I had a girlfriend who used to work for Molly Maid, but she got fired for taking too long on the carpets. Some people will get that. A lot of people won't get that, but it is definitely a reference. Some people
taking too long on the carpets. Okay.
Yes.
Was she doing Molly's while she was mating? But yeah. So we have some guests coming up in the next few weeks, I guess, or a couple of months loaded, right?
Yeah.
So
we're getting loaded up, which is good.
So tonight we have does he like being called J-Man?
Well, J-Man is his name, Jason.
And he's got a podcast, right, Jason?
He does. Launchpad.
Yes.
Launchpad podcast.
So he'll be coming on tonight, and then we have final dates to be confirmed. Rudy Blair is coming back. We have Daddy Red, the Sword Swallower, and amongst other talents.
Our Flat Earth guy, hopefully.
David Weiss.
Try to get Davey back. That was very.
We've got Kyle on next week.
Kyle, yep. What does Kyle do?
She's a dragonologist.
Yes, and explain what that is, because I know a lot of dragon ladies.
It's just getting in contact with your dragon through like meditation and
nice. So we all have a dragon.
Yeah, we all have a dragon if you want one.
Right.
Right. You have to ask for it, and then the dragon picks you.
Well, I have a dragon right here.
I was born in the year of the dragon, so does that mean I've got one?
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
You might have one, George. Apparently, we all have one.
Well, I was born in the year of the dragon, right? Chinese, so.
And we may all be.
And I am George, so it's George and the dragon, right? There must be one somewhere.
George, you have a dragon tattoo?
No.
Is that what you said? Oh.
No.
Yeah, he does, but he can't show us on, on live TV here. Listen, he can't show.
Well, it's not. If I had it, wouldn't be on my backside.
Not my dragon, it's my lizard.
Speaking of your backside,
exactly. But before we go on to that, why do you? When I was
that segue, we go from the front to the back.
That was a good segue, eh? It wasn't fun. Just like in rehearsal. Yeah. But Heiko, about ice fishing, right? Here's a dumb question for you, right? I was down by the river here; it's completely frozen over. The street here. So why don't the fish freeze?
Because the water is
cold-blooded.
The water's still moving underneath. It's only the very top that freezes.
Right. Okay.
Like out on the lake, there
don't get actually trapped and a bit slow moving and never.
No. All there is Lake Simcoe's a giant lake, and it's got about 18 inches of ice on it right now. So it's a foot and a half. You could drive a truck across it, and it'll hold it up. But underneath that, everything's normal. Like the fish are just swimming around. It's cold. They just can't pop up for air.
So why don't they suffocate then? Can you tell I'm a city boy?
There's air in the water, buddy. There's lots of air in the water.
Why do we drown then? All right, go on here.
Because we don't have gills.
All right. God,
little time out here for a second here. So Victor Cameron, maybe he's new. He's asking what we do. Victor, that comes up a lot. Like, what's the show about? We're definitely a talk show.
Cheers. We do drink a little.
Yeah, we drink. We do a lot of this and that. But yeah, nothing specific. So if you came here for an education, it's probably the wrong place. But we do get some great guests.
Yes,
Victor.
We're also in the pursuit. We've come to the conclusion that we have to understand who they are. So that's now leading us on a path to talk about aliens and reptilians.
That's our quest.
It's our
find
quest.
out who they are.
So, you might see us out hunting for Bigfoot, all kinds of things. But stay tuned.
So Victor, if you have any idea who they are,
let us know. Let us know.
I want to give Victor an example of something that we are, right?
Okay.
Like tonight, I drink lemonade. So today I make lemonade. When I make my lemonade, though,
make it with CBD.
I don't pour it in, right? I don't pour it in and just fill it up with water. I put it in, and I put a little bit of water in, and I liquefy that stuff before, right? Because I find when you just dump it in, no matter how much you spin it, it all stays at the bottom.
Right.
So you got to liquefy it before you do it. That's one thing that I like to do.
That's pretty deep there, Derek, into lemonade making.
No, but don't you ever get that? Do you guys ever use crystallized drinks?
Yeah, I don't do the crystallized lemonade, but the iced tea, and you get all the sugar sits on the bottom.
Exactly, same thing. Yeah. Instead of doing that, just put a little bit of water in it, swirl it around like you're swirling a drink in your ice cubes.
Yeah.
And once it liquefies, just fill it up and swirl it a bit more, and it works a lot better. It doesn't, all the sugar doesn't separate.
Yeah. See, I like that though.
That's
I stir it just a little bit. I want all the sugar to stay on the bottom.
Sand?
Yeah, you just leave the last bit. It's too sweet otherwise for me, all the sugar in it.
Yeah.
So, I'm different. whatever.
Yeah, you're
So,
different for sure.
I don't have
Oh,
iced
me.
tea on the show.
Maybe I'm the
I
one who's
drink this.
different.
I don't have to put anything
So-
in here and stir it. I
Ike,
just
is that your Christmas tree I see in the back, or no?
no.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Christmas tree's down now.
My
It's
monitor.
an
I'm
Easter tree now.
I just
I'm
took the
casting
tree
from a
down.
different-
Hey, what are you gonna do? You were gonna do that, weren't you, Hike?
Yeah.
You were gonna leave your tree up and just put it here. Now it's an Easter tree. Now it's a Halloween tree.
No, a friend of mine does that.
Oh yeah.
Changes the decorations every month,
Yep.
but the tree stays up all year round.
But it makes sense though, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
What, like, I mean, I love the tree.
I
my
do
tree
too.
is still up. Okay,
Yeah.
which, hey, you're just lazy. You won't put it. No, I honestly, I'll turn the lights on at night, and I like it. It brings back some nice childhood memories. Instead of having, it helps me cope with the
Hey, speaking of
the
memories,
shitness of life today.
did we see George's backside?
Oh, yeah.
No,
you
no,
started
we're
the show,
we're trying to get there.
Oh.
We're trying to.
Well, we
we're
didn't
trying to
even
get.
we didn't even get through the list of guests that are coming up.
I
So
know, eh?
Doug from Pine Tree Line
So
Outdoors is
Victor,
coming
that's
back.
what we're about. It's like very random, and sometimes it's going to change and go really ADD.
Yeah.
We go off on a tangent quite often.
Yeah, and we could be drunk or high. So Victor,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not into that, we completely are cool. Like if you just kind of go and watch CSI or something a little more serious and focused, right? Because you're not going to get that from us.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You just
phenomenal.
mentioned some people think your tree's still up, so you're lazy. Well,
Yeah.
I know a guy too. You could call him lazy, or you can call him really smart. But he got a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, nice round piece, and he put the tree stand on that, set the tree all up, and underneath the piece of wood, he had little tiny dolly wheels. So when Christmas is over, he opened the closet, pushed the tree in, closed the door.
Well,
Christmas is ready next year. He pulls it out, plugs it in. Christmas time.
My mother, who clearly has a thing for George, but
you could never do that if you were married.
No, well, no, that's not true.
It depends. Maybe if your wife's cool, right?
My mother, who's got a thing for George, would take a big garbage bag and put it over the top of the tree, and then just slide it into a back room.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, it took the fun out of. But I'll tell you, after about 5-6 years, the popcorn on the string was still pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We never changed.
Hairspray works well on it.
Seasoned.
I mean, the mice would get to it, but
the odd diblet was missing.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right, George. Let's see what you got.
Give you a flash.
I'm gonna give you.
Ooh.
It's Georgie. Georgie.
Wow.
It came out.
That's definitely Blood Rock sausage.
Blood Rock. One of these weeks, you're gonna get it right. Not Blood Rock sausage.
Yellow.
It's yellow.
How come I'm so horrible at this?
Wow.
It's from about 19. It's a tough one. This. It's a bit tough.
It's like a castle on top of a
Frank
mountain.
Zappa or something.
It's not Frank Zappa, but it's from about 76, I think.
Oh, a mountain peeking up through the clouds with a castle on it.
Yeah.
Christaberg.
Yeah.
Christaberg. It's somebody a long time before Christaberg.
Yeah. Well, let's ask our audience. Break it down.
Okay.
Break it
All
down.
right,
Come on,
audience.
people. Who
Let's
is
get those
it?
questions.
Let's see the guesses come up on the screen.
Hey, don't do that. You're wrecking it. I'm trying to see the bottom there.
Yeah.
It's a solo, Sandra. It's a solo artist.
It's a solo. Solo, I can't hear it.
Bass solo, take one.
He started off. I'll tell you, he's British for a start. So he's British, and he started off in the 60s.
And he started off in the 60s. So is it like Elton John?
It's not Elton John.
No, we've had Elton like 2 weeks ago.
But he kind of had his. It was in his pomp. He had 2 or 3 albums in the early mid 70s, early 70s.
Did you say
they
it
were
was
huge, massive?
Did you say it was in his pump?
Pomp. P-O-M-P. And he's Pomp in his prime.
Pomp.
Rod Stewart.
Oh, I get it. Well, that's not my Pomp. Now I got it. It's not mine.
It's not Rod Stewart.
Oh.
So I think Kathy fell asleep because she would have took a shot at this. Oh, wait a minute.
Yes.
Rod Stewart, no.
Male
And
solo.
then, David Bowie from Kathy.
He's not David Bowie.
Peter Frampton.
He's not Peter Frampton.
Melanie says Paul McCartney.
Not Paul McCartney. No, he's solo from the very start.
Wow.
Wow. Is your button pushing finger getting sore there, George?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to, switch fingers.
Wow.
Holy ho.
What the hell? Wow, you changed there, George. What happened?
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Singers,
okay,
all right.
so it's a British artist
Yeah.
from the
Billy Joel.
Started in the 60s. How long did their career? Is their career still going?
It's not Billy Joel. How long did what?
Is their career still going?
Yeah, he's still. I saw him about 5 years ago at that place on Front Street, Sony Centre for the Performing Arts, Hummingbird Centre. It always changes its name, but it was,
Gary says Mick Jagger.
oh, it's not Big Jagger. He's never been in a band at all. Never been in a band.
Wow.
He went off. Oh.
Wrong button, George.
The wrong button. Not Mick Jagger. Oh, it won't go off now.
It's not Mick Jagger. Okay.
It's not Mick Jagger.
We got excited here for a second. Like, and why would Mick Jagger have his own album? Did he ever do a solo? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
yeah. We've had a backside of Mick's album, yeah.
All right. We'll have to come back to that. Come on,
Ooh.
people. Throw in your guesses.
All right.
We'll try and figure this one out.
He did drop out of the scene for a while and then he came back, but he's still around today.
Gary Newman.
It's not Gary Newman.
Gary Glitter.
Oh, no, he. Gary Glitter.
He's scary.
Oh dear.
Oh, shit. I was going to say, back to ice fishing. If you guys ever want to go, we just rented a party hut last week.
Yeah.
We went with 8 people, and there was tons of room still in there.
Really?
Yeah.
So,
it's a big hut.
how deep is it if it goes through the ice? I just want to.
We were sitting in 30 feet of water.
So here's something interesting. Do they have escape hatches on the roof at all?
On the huts?
Yeah.
No, you just have the front door. That's it.
Wow.
And there's actually 2 big holes cut in the floor. So you can get out that way too if you want.
Yeah, we had one. It all depends on how deep you are, but like if chances are you're not gonna carve a hole the size of the ice hut. It'll be bigger than that.
No,
You'll float
you never do.
long enough to get out. But we built an ice hut one time. We had these 2 escape. There were kind of windows you could pop out the top, and along the bottom of the ice hut, we put barrels in, so it's not going anywhere.
No.
But one of my buddies was pretty paranoid. So.
Yeah. These are all insulated with
Drowning's not fun.
styrofoam, so they do float. They will not sink.
Gary already said Gary Newman.
No, it's not Gary Newman.
It's not Gary Newman.
We've already buzzed for Gary.
It's not Gary Newman. So just
Well, Gary Newman didn't start in the 60s. Started in the 60s. Was huge. Disappeared for a while. Came back.
Right.
Ah.
Come back to it. It was Prince.
Came back, Cher.
Prince, right?
Prince is no, he's not British.
Prince is British.
Cher.
Prince Andrew is. That's not the only.
Yeah, that's the wrong Prince.
Wrong Prince. Yeah.
Prince Harry, you're talking about.
Oh, Prince
Yeah.
Harry. There's another one.
So
yeah. They're British.
I was just looking at the green room and I saw J-Man kind of yawning. So what time is he coming? It's 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. We got
I
5
think it's-
seconds.
I think it's time to rock.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to the album, to the backside.
Yes, we'll do that later.
So
Maybe,
we want to
maybe
leave
J-Man knows.
we want to leave everyone with a thought that think hard about George's backside.
Think really hard.
Think really hard about his
Yes.
little backside.
So bring our guest in. Let's introduce him.
What?
Would you know which button that is?
No, I don't actually. I'm on this whole new computer thing tonight.
Oh
in
no!
A remote location.
In a remote location, are you?
Yeah.
Is your mom watching tonight? You got to say hi, George.
Hey, George.
I can do that.
All right. Without
can do
further
that.
ado.
All right.
Doodly-doo-doo. All right, we're gonna.
Hello, Mrs. Ringo.
Actually, I have to say, for Jason's voice, if you haven't heard him yet, probably has one of the most manliest radio voices you've ever heard.
Excellent.
All right.
We'll
cool
put that
shades
to-
there, George.
Hello, Mrs. Ringo. Nice
Red
Monday
glasses,
evening.
George.
Is she on? I can't see.
Just in case she is.
Okay. All right.
Just thought I'd say hi.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do it before
All
our
right.
guest falls asleep.
We will. J-Man.
There he is.
Welcome.
Am I allowed to swear on this thing?
Yeah,
Well,
we
if you
just try
want
not to drop the F-bomb too much.
Can I do one F-bomb? One F-bomb?
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Go for it.
So long. For crying out loud. Get out here. Come on. How you guys doing?
Great. You?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing all right. A lot of stuff going on right now. While you guys are
Hold on.
doing this podcast, they just passed the Emergencies Act.
Yes.
Yes.
And he just signed.
Oh, my Lord. What's going on there? We don't have to talk about that, but I'm just like, wow, that was...
Well, I mean, we can glaze. I think we can.
crazy.
I think we could maybe glaze over it for those who don't even know what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to end up in prison. I love Justin Trudeau. He's my favorite.
Really? Okay.
Not at all. I hate
Off the
those
show.
truckers.
Get
I
off.
hate
I want
truckers.
to
I
have
hate
his
convoys.
babies. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they are changing the rules to suit themselves. That's all I could say. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's wild to see because there was some, I guess, a little bit of back and forth going on in the days leading up to this vote, and it was obvious. We were told by one of the MPs that was in the House that there were a lot of people that didn't agree with what was happening and were wary of Justin's leadership. And then at the end of the day, I mean, I guess it's the old adage, right? You toe the party line, and it doesn't matter necessarily what you think or who you're throwing underneath the bus, but you do what you got to do to make sure that the people that need to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love Justin Trudeau. God bless him. God bless Justin
America.
Trudeau. And I'm glad those smelly truckers are gone. All right. There we go.
Wow.
I have to say it. I don't want to end up in prison.
I don't want to end up in prison.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're covering it on all angles. So George, hey.
Wow. You're looking pretty snazzy there today, George.
Am I hosting tonight?
Ringo's mom must be on. So you are in Ottawa, right, Jason?
Yep. Born and raised in Ottawa. Been here my whole life.
Born and raised in Ottawa. You've worked in radio for 20 years?
Yeah, over the span of 20 years. So I started right out of college, actually. I was really fortunate to end up at a station called The Bear, which was a big station here in Ottawa, but it was just like the Expos back in the day. Or like, if you were to play for, the Expos, you'd get an opportunity maybe to get a starring role. Unfortunately, I was playing for the Yankees with The Bear. And so I did a lot of overnights and evenings. And 6 years later, I got an opportunity to leave the market. I went to Pembroke, Ontario for 4 years. I came back to work at another station called Dog FM and then another station called Rebel here in Ottawa.
Right on.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So quite a career.
Pembroke, you have your showcase, the Pembroke showcase that you do.
What? Look at the research on this guy. What? Let me get it. Yeah, we got the Petawawa showcase, it's called.
Yeah.
So it's something that I actually I got into it just a couple of years ago.
Sorry,
and it's all good. It's generally the same area, like it's 15 minutes away, but it happens in Petawawa. And me and my business partner Sean Gallant from Gallant Media, who does business development, we facilitate 140 vendors for 3 days. It's always the last weekend of April, and it's for anyone that has a passion and product and profession that they'd like to showcase, from like homemade body butters to real estate. We have the city councilors show up. If you've been watching CPAC at all, like Cheryl Gallant, who's with the Conservatives, sometimes she has a booth there.
Wow.
And so from when I lived out there, it was always something that I really liked. I would never think that I'd have a foothold in business many, many years later. What, about 10 years later?
Huh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
So,
Go ahead, Ringo.
Jason. So the Launchpad, great name, by the way, for your podcast. So how did you come up with that? What was the premise behind it? Like, we had a guest that actually quizzed us. I guess he's a new guest, but what is it exactly you guys do? And, we're kind of talk show entertainment, but we have great guests like yourself on. But yeah, what was the whole foundation of the Launchpad?
Right. You know what? When I think about it, I go back to Rebel when I worked there, and I had to come up with something. My last show was called The Junkyard, J-Man's Junkyard at the Blue Station. It was just kind of fitting, old rusted out cars and stuff like that. And it had, like where where one person's trash is another person's treasure. That's how I sold it. And then when I was going to work at Rebel, I was just thinking of something badass, maybe a little bit of Star Wars going in the background. And so I thought of just like a launch pad, outer space, and it's also a new frontier. Then you can play on the word as it's a launch pad to new ideas. And when I started doing the Launchpad podcast, it was purely as a gen lead, actually. I wanted to use it to bring in some business in regards to attracting more people to showcase, as well to the business development that I help my business partner with.
Right.
And then I started to explore my network that I built through radio, and I'm like, wow, I know a lot of great people. So I started exploiting that a little bit more, and it just kept on getting bigger. COVID had a lot to do with it as well, because podcasts were generally, a lot of them just kind of happened face to face.
Right.
And that was a setup, that was money, that was time. It was also just how close are the people that you want to talk to? Or, most people aren't able to fly somebody into their studio like a Joe Rogan. So it really brought on this whole new thing of a podcast where it's perfectly acceptable to do one on Zoom. And, like, here's a perfect example, right? 5 people, all different places, all in one place, knocking it out.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
that's
great.
a great platform.
It is.
And it's living in the now. Like a lot of people nowadays are not watching so much of the regular TV, your CBCs and when I grew up, it was channel 3, 5, and 9. But yeah, so it's all like my kids. They're all get everything from the internet. Nothing they don't watch TV anymore.
Well, it's really changed. I think Joe Rogan, we all knew podcasts had already changed when Joe Rogan took over, but he's done it in such a grand fashion, and he has so many listeners that he's become a source for people to go find the experts or the information that they're looking for. He's now kind of legitimized that, where before people would still maybe say, well, it's a guy in a podcast, I don't know him, opposed to, well, I'm really disenfranchised with what I'm hearing on the news. And I think that's become more polarized over the last 2 years.
Yes.
Where everyone has a camera now, and that can be a good thing and can be a bad thing. Bad thing, TikTok. Good thing, you can catch things that the media might be saying one story, but I mean, you have a couple thousand people. That was one thing that I found with everything that we were hearing just more recently in regards to protests that were here.
Yes.
You can only have 1 or 2 cameras. Like mainstream news wasn't there a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But you had thousands of people that had out their cell phones. So in regards to, I mean, if you really want to pull in your own data, I mean, sure, watch the mainstream news, but you have this just amazing
melting pot,
exactly, of another perspective, and all of the same perspective, because they're all there for the same reason generally.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what I found so exciting about doing that, is what you see on mainstream news on TV was so different than what people were doing online. with their own phones being there. I know a lot of people that personally went there. And you're listening to the TV and you're looking at what people are showing live on their phones, and you go, something doesn't make sense here. There's two stories here, right?
Yeah.
But
so I wonder how long it stays like this. We're this like a honeymoon period where podcasters have become trusted individuals. Right? Like if you guys say that you went to an event and you really like the event, someone would, well, this is a firsthand experience. Like all four of us went. And so if you're looking for a reliable, rundown of exactly what happened, you can trust us. Where before it was, why am I watching this guy? Like I remember seeing YouTube for the first time and I was like, why would anyone record themselves and put themselves on the internet? I thought it was the most ridiculous thing. Yeah. I thought podcasts were ridiculous at one point. I thought and this is kudos to you guys, by the way, because you actually go to radio school. Like that's a thing.
Yeah.
I'm educated. And I used to scoff at podcasts. I'd be like, I went to school for 2 years. I have all this fancy equipment. And these guys are just, these yahoos are jumping on the internet trying to be like me.
Yeah.
And then when I started paying attention to podcasts, I'm like, holy geez, it's really, it's not that much of a gift that's only resigned for the few. That just through practice, whether you go through training or you're not, I mean, it's an amazing thing what you guys are able to do. And I find that you're able to do it in a very short period of time and do it better than a lot of the people that are out there getting paid too much money to do it.
Well, it's I guess, generally, thanks for that. We've been, Heiko and I have been doing this for 4 or 5 years, and he's been doing it longer than that.
Yeah.
And it evolved from radio to what we're doing now. When COVID came out, we went all social and all of that. So I think your point, it's definitely well taken. We've had some pretty good high profile guests like Rudy Blair and Alan Cross and a few, and we've gotten some pretty good feedback from them, like really good feedback. But for my perception of that is that we're definitely not as structured. We've talked about this in nauseum, should we have a set format for the show? Should we keep it kind of rigid? And there's a few things like we'll always entertain George's backside because we love it so much. But other than that, there's something about the free flow. We do have some, rules that we try and stick to, but it's really to keep the show engaging. We don't insult our guests by not doing research. We try and do, as much as we can. But then have fun with it, right? We have loyal watchers and listeners, and I think we had when we had the Flat Earthers on, we had about almost 900 people on Facebook and over 2,000 live with us on YouTube. So, but we have to. There are certain topics and areas that we will try and guide or stay away from if we can. I mean, we don't promote any racism or hate or any of that stuff. When you get into topics like what's happening with Canada now, it's we're divided, right? We're divided on this show. We're vaxxers 100%. And anti-vaxxers. So, but something like the trucker protest, which Heiko and I got into a debate about, but he had some very valid points, and I think there may be a little ignorance on my part, but then what became really interesting was the fact that whether or not this was intended to be a peaceful protest, it began that way, but it was also the foundation of it was kind of nefarious organizers in some way. So it but you have to. It's messed up now, right? And it's created a lot of I think the movement for freedom and everything else. Yeah, I certainly get all that. It makes sense. But even with the government, the way this started out with not to get into the whole thing, but
we're getting into it now. You started. You started.
But the thing is the credibility has swayed. It's certainly for myself as someone who vaxxed and for my own personal reasons. the country became very divided, and what became was sort of a choice, or a choice became no longer a choice. So that part I don't agree with, but
well, this is the same government that says my body, my choice, but not when it comes to getting a needle. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But anyways,
we love the government.
I gotta get a little bit in on this.
But I do.
The reality, it's like the mandates, and I mean, I don't care what anyone does with their body. I wish everyone well. I think the one thing that we're lacking as a whole, if there was going to be one thing that we learn from all of this, it would be that the key to being better, the key to staying together, is empathy. I don't have to agree, but I can have empathy and walk in another person's shoes. I don't think anyone is a bad person from wanting to go out there and get vaxxed or not get vaxxed. I just think it's imperative to just, for me, it is that there's just choice. And this just kind of goes to show a great example of what happens when you remove a function of society the way that we just have. It all goes to shit. That's why it's written into law the way it is, like they know. So I don't know. Hopefully, with whatever is going on right now, I just hope it goes back to, we just drop these mandates, because I think they're horrible.
I believe in dropping the mandates and stuff. I do not, how do I say this the right way? I do not believe that the truckers have done it the proper way. Maybe a rolling block would have been better.
Tomato. Really,
just
Derek.
To stop. I think that is
it was
causing money, causing
ultimately
these same people with small businesses to shut down.
It was kind of poorly organized. Started off well, got people to where they wanted them to be, but it just took a turn. So it's confusing, right? I went from an opinion to I better keep my mouth shut to I understand. Yet now the government, it's like all this sort of backpedaling, and what bothers me is I spent all this time trying to figure out how to do this bloody QR code on my phone, and now they're going to eliminate it in a couple of weeks. What hurts even worse is the fact that as a big time taxpayer, that's our money, right? I mean, why now? Okay, and I haven't got my cell phone with me, but I got another text from the PC government today on my phone asking if I would support them. So my last message to them was, help me understand something. Aren't there rules about laws about spamming in Canada? And where the hell did you get my phone number? Right. Well, I didn't give my phone number to the PC government. They, but yet they're able to nail me and say, hey, blah, 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 knowing my name and everything else. So I haven't responded yet. I was actually going to respond live on the show, and it wasn't going to be pretty, because I would, that's, it just really bothers me. It feels like I'm somehow getting raped or broken into, or it's like my personal phone. I have nothing to do with the PC government.
Put me on do not call list, right?
I've tried, and this is a second. I asked them the last time. It's in writing, right? But no, they continue to do this. So, the fact that they're allowed to just tap into everybody's phone, and
but this would go back to something like in regards to what we've done throughout the past 2 years, is that you trade in a certain amount of freedom, right, for safety. And let's just take a poll. If I were to ask for you guys, with those Amber Alerts that pop on your phone, right? They're loud. Sometimes it can be annoying, but you're like, you know what? It's for the good. It's of the whole. It's for safety. So you say that's okay. But you also didn't give them permission to do that on your phone.
Not at all.
That's right.
Right? And because nobody makes a fuss about that, what do? Oh, well, we're going to use this for COVID alerts. Oh, now we're going to call your phone. And this is just the slippery slope that people talk about, where, okay, you let things slide because it's for the greater good. Like, it's okay in this instance, but it's not okay in the other.
Agreed.
Which is why, kind of like, if you're pro-choice, like, there's some things that I'm not. Well, I am pro-choice about almost everything, because that just has to fall in line with my principles. I can't say to somebody, for instance, like, I don't want to get a needle, right? And then I'm going to say to a lady that she can't have an abortion and make her feel like she's a piece of garbage. Right. So even though, like, I'm an adopted child, I was adopted at 4 months old. Lovely mother and father. I had a wonderful life. Thank you for asking. And
Nice.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, woo, it all turned out good. And you know, I think I'm going to completely lose my train of thought. So I do not necessarily support abortion, but I cannot say that I'm not for pro-choice based on my principles.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You know,
but you know, I think there's situations. You know, I can say I grew up Roman Catholic, and these are difficult times for that to be a Catholic. Period. But anyway, I'm not practicing or anything like that now. But when it came to abortion, yeah, that was a big no-no. However, when you look at circumstances where somebody has been, you know, raped or you know, there are situations that, you know, that should be a choice. But not to get into a debate around it, but in general, to use it as a birth control means, I think that's absolute murder. So hopefully I'm not offending too many people out there, but it's just that's what, you know, I think every action around that, those types of things or those choices, you got to be able to maybe dig a little deeper and understand it. If it's just something that, oh well, hey, you know, something happens, I'll go and do this. No, I think there has to be some justification behind it. Even the concept of you know, like what do you call it, like euthanization and all kinds of those types of things. I mean, having experienced situations where you know, from a medical standpoint, you know, you pull the plug. Well, no, that's not going to happen. Not on my watch, right? And then all of a
I
sudden,
disagree with that totally. Like, I would rather die with dignity than, like, I've been in some had some family situations where you're nothing. You're drooling. You don't remember anything. You're getting violent. You're angry.
agreed.
I don't want to be that person. I don't want to even be a grumpy old man when I get older.
Well, there's
somebody who's angry because I don't know where I am.
A quality of life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm 44 and I'm miserable. I'm ready to tap out.
Come on, not yet.
Well, hey, it's my movie, and I don't want to. I want it to end now. I don't want to wait for the ending. I want to get up and leave. I'm out of the theater. You know what I mean?
So you guys said you had David Weiss on, right? I had him on my podcast. So do I have any flat earthers in here?
Okay, so
oh shit, that was the wrong question, right?
Holy crap, man! Like, he brings up some good points, and Ringo above me here, he was like went from no, absolutely not, to going, this is plausible.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing. I prepared 28 questions. I figured I'd fire about 5 over the bow in the whole show, right? But what was amazing about David was he's got this app out there, and I did buy the app. So just to, you know, I was hoping to understand more before the next show. But what was amazing about him was he had in his panel, he had his, I don't know if it was his phone, he had another picture-in-picture screen. And every time we had a question, he'd say, well, okay, let me show you this. He was absolutely prepared for everything.
He's great.
Yeah, so well-spoken. But then towards the end, we're with everything going on in the world right now, and I think you mentioned it, Jay, as well. Like, you said something about they. Well, they started, you know, who are they, right? And Heiko and I have been getting into these debates because he would say, well, you know, they are doing something. So there's this control somewhere that, you know, and so I'm the type, I like to go to root cause and peel the onion. So now I'm on a quest, a personal request, and so, you know, and the rest of the team on discovering who they are. So when we were
chatting, who they are, Jay?
No, unless he was talking about just like the Illuminati type thing. We didn't get into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we slipped into because we've had conspiracy theorists on here, and you know, we hear a lot about aliens, reptiles, and the connection between, like everything that's come out with disclosure,
Everything is connected.
UFOs. Yeah, so everything's somehow connected. So we got on that with Dave, and there was a little, not a side discussion, but we kind of ventured into that, and he was very excited about that. So not sure, we didn't get to really finish all of that, but I did say something about, okay, look, I was amazed by the credibility that he comes in with in terms of all of his examples and just how he articulates all of this. He's done some, backyard science experiments kind of thing to prove out some of the theories. So really amazing, really prepared. But then we all, we get on this sort of side topic, and it kind of gets into this, in my opinion, who they are. Right. So there's some higher power, some higher control. And I think if you believe in flat Earth, you've got to believe that there is some kind of that's in control, because I mean, a lot of the elements in terms of flat Earth and the fact that you hit an iceberg, you can't go any further. It's like, okay, so are we some kind of feeding ground for aliens? What's this all about?
Jay, are you a flat earther?
I'd love to weigh in on this.
Go ahead.
Are you a flat earther?
I am not a flat earther, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility to me. This is what I say. I have not seen Earth with my own eyes. Now, I'm not going to lose friends over it. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'll take for granted that the world is round, but I didn't have him on my show to pick him apart. I just had him on my show to share what he had to share.
Well, that's the way.
And he was great, amazing. I thought it was, whether you believe it or not is.
There's a lot of things that we don't know. For instance, we'll look at communist China and say, like, well, they have limited internet and they don't get to see everything, and we just assume that we have an internet that doesn't do what they do. How do we know that there's information that we don't see? We wouldn't know. Right?
No, we don't know.
We don't know.
Look at something, it says Canada. It says what area you're in, right? So you get the Canadian internet.
And then I think there's a group of people that we don't know the names of. The Bill Gates and the Bezos and, the Elon Musks and this and that. And then there's the people that are, the theys, right? Let's get into the Carl Schwabs and stuff like that, or the World Economic Forum, which is very real. And this Great Reset is very, very real. This is all stuff that you can find online on their own website. Like, it's not, you don't even have to go to like a referral site. It's like right there. They'll let you know that they want to take everything that you own and you will rent it and you will be happy. So I do believe that there is a group of people that we do not know the names of that are the real players that make things work. And I don't know why that's so alarming to people, because we're just all living systems.
Well, I think I don't think that piece is alarming. I mean, sure, there could be this sort of backroom control, very powerful people. I have a hard time with, getting a grip around the fact that these are reptilian or aliens or shapeshifters and all of that, right?
It could just be
I'm not saying Dave, like we just kind of glazed on that, and he seemed to, there's a whole other thing out there, but
past the Arctic Circle into the next.
Right. Well, I talked to David Icke. David Icke believes in reptilians. He's had contacts. I've spoken to 2 reptilian channelers up to this point. And I guess the way they say it works, because I myself am a reptilian. No, I've never.
Well, this is why I wear glasses, right?
Right. Yeah. But apparently the way that it works is, we live in 3D, the third density. Yeah. And they're saying that, it's not a shapeshifter thing, is that for people that just have the ability to see into the 5th density where a lot of them live, is that I would just look at Derek and he would just be a reptilian. You guys wouldn't be able to tell.
Right.
So we'd be going back and forth telling reptilian jokes, and you guys are like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, so that's a good point. But I've been so intrigued with it.
The Masons and stuff would come into it too, because now you have a secret society, and we can do that because we don't know each other, but because we're brothers through Masons, I could give you my signal and you could signal back to me. So now we say we are reptilians.
Hey, George, I need to hear you say something because I want to see that mustache move. You have a beautiful mustache.
Right. No, I'm fascinated because I'm substantially older than these guys, right?
Right.
And I was having, I hate to say this, but I was having these kind of conversations in the 70s.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I never got any answers.
Right.
You know
so you would know David Icke?
Yeah, I know David Icke. Yeah,
Are you a fan, or do you just think he's off as a rocker?
I'm certainly not a fan. No.
Okay.
I listen to what he says. Pardon?
I love David.
Yeah, my brother-in-law loves him. Actually, my brother-in-law just thinks he's he's been listening to him for years. But like I say, it's these questions have been around forever and ever, and I think is that the whole point of us having to spend our time answering these questions that are perennials? Just come and no one ever solves them.
So do you think it could potentially be it's a puzzle? Maybe that's why we're here. We're just here throughout the eons or whatever, just to kind of figure out this puzzle that we call Earth.
Maybe that could be it. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So George is tracking
food for the Earth.
Well, George is tracking a few dates that were kind of delivered by conspiracy theorists, and and I had some conversations offline with some people that, and what's amazing is these people I trust with. I've known them for years, and it's shocking that they've got in their mind they've got it figured out. So I was guided on, if you want to find out who they are, it's simple. They are we, and it's multi-dimension, and what ultimately the control feeds off of is our energy. So, and all will be revealed in the next 6 months. So
Monsters Inc. That type of
have you heard that?
So 6 months, from now until 6 months.
Yeah, have you heard that?
The week of
it would be 5.5 months.
Yeah,
okay, well, I hope mandates lift then, because I need to live a little bit of life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Spent all this time worrying about mandates.
I'm launching a company actually right now, and my business partner said, we were having a chat about this, and he goes, well, then what's the point? Right.
Yeah,
exactly. Oh, no, I have not heard that. So that's a big date.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a big reveal. Something oh my God, really? That's supposed to happen.
Well, hey, I know what your business deal is, so this might be the perfect.
Yeah, I think it'll just sell gangbusters, for a few days, and then
at this point, if Jesus pops up through the Earth's crust, half the size of the planet, and just nothing at this point will surprise me. And I think that's one thing that's most definitely come out over again. I like these last 2 years. I don't know if it's a matter of just people staying at home as long as they have. But it seems like people are really starting to connect a lot of dots and rapidly, fast.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Totally.
So if you believe in the concept of the universe, I mean, maybe that's a good point. Maybe possibly because we've been able to not bury our head in work so much in other things that collectively things are happening, like the reveal of in terms of UFOs and everything, and all of the sightings, and the ones that they were explained versus the ones they couldn't. I mean, they were only able to explain a few UAP sightings, and all of the rest were unexplained. But some of those come right out of the water, so you got to think, that sort of ties into this whole underground reptilian kind of civilization that we've got. And somehow we're either an evolution where we're the future or the past, right? So,
man, I'm not high enough for this.
Exactly.
I know it's
exactly
a little deep.
That's awesome. But I mean, that's the whole thing, though, right? I think we might be spending less time talking about these kinds of things. I remember when I was younger, these types of conversations used to happen all the time, just like George was talking about how he used to have these conversations all the time. And I think we just got so busy worrying about what we consider to be bigger problems that we just kind of dropped the philosophy of it all, right? Like we became less philosophical. And we headed more towards being factual, how important it is to have facts. And, maybe a little bit of this side of our brain has kind of gone dormant. And we're really not paying a whole bunch of attention to it now, but it seems to have manifested into something different, which is truth seeking. There seems to be a whole lot of truth seeking now.
Yeah, and that's what one of our guests, they call them conspiracy theorists or whatever, but she says, no, I'm a truth teller. They dig and dig and dig, and they try to publicize things that they found. They're trying to get people to learn what the truth is.
But
and the reason why things are different today is a lot more people have the access right in their hand. They're not sitting in a computer. They're on their cell phones. They can research, and that's what we tell people. Do your own research. Don't believe what we say or what they say or whatever. Figure it out for yourself. And a lot of people are starting to do that. So like you said, the knowledge base is there and people are starting to dig things up and find out things. And
it's right there for them if they want it. There's something I was watching from the Smithsonian, and they were talking about the atomic bomb. And when people talk about some of the atrocities, well, there's a lot of back and forth going on with, why would government lie to us, or why would there be a narrative outside the one that we're being told? And I would point to some people. I'm not saying that that's necessarily true, but to say that it hasn't happened and it couldn't happen again is really naive. And in regards to the atom bomb, I mean, they took their own troops and used them as guinea pigs, told them to dig ditches, and then blew atom bombs on, all around them. Not like pretending like they didn't know it was going to cause some type of radical cancer. People are. Anyways, it was an atrocity, like what they were talking about. I believe they exposed 250 to 300,000 troops to atomic radiation, and you can see these clips on YouTube. The way that they would clean them off after one of these explosions, they had a broom, and they would just dust these guys up. Like, what the f are you doing? And you can't tell me that they didn't know that this weapon of mass destruction was going to do the things that they did. Maybe not on such a grand scale, because it was something new, but they knew that they were damaging the people that they were exposing them.
But is it also to do long-term studies, right? Like right now with, I was saying to a buddy of mine, whether you got vaccinated or you didn't get vaccinated, either way, you're still a statistic, right? Because we're going to find out in 5 years or 10 years or whatever.
Right.
Long-term effects.
Yeah, that's the one thing we don't know. And early on, you would hear doctors say that, which was refreshing. Say listen, we don't know what the long-term thing is going to be. And I believe I heard that as well when they were talking about when they were coming out with the 5 to 12. And there was a clip of someone in the FDA saying, listen, we really don't know until we get it out there. But I look at everything. I do sales as well. That's been a lot of my life has been doing sales. And I look at everything as a business. And whether it be right or wrong, if my business is making sure vaccines get out there, you want to silence things that will be unflattering.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it would just be a lot better, though, if it seems like people are searching for truth, like we've all agreed upon. Why not be transparent and just allow people to make their own decisions? And if it's generally safe, people will do it. If it's generally not safe, they won't. Right. So just make sure it's good and people will do it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is there's a lot of misunderstanding or lack of knowledge. So people aren't sure. People don't want to do things they're not 100% sure about. Is this going to affect me in the future? What's going to happen? And there has been no government sources telling this to people. They're just saying, take it, take it, take it, take it.
But
and then the big lie, and I've said this many times before, the big lie that they're doing is they're making the general public believe that unvaccinated people are diseased and they will make you sick and they will kill you. And I always say there's no difference between a vaxxed and unvaxxed person. The vaccine is for the individual only that takes the shot.
Yes.
Otherwise, everybody's a carrier, right? So that's the one thing that really bothers me about this. Why are they forcing everybody to do this?
Right. I agree with you as well. And early on, I'll give them a pass for the first year.
Okay.
But in regard, you know what I mean? When we just don't, I'll just say generally as a collective, we didn't know.
Right.
Even though there was some information.
Yes.
But we know now without question, but the damage is already done. Right. Because even if you eliminate that 1 year, what they've been able to do since mandates have come in, like the divisiveness. And like I heard one person, they were talking about the trades, and someone would want an HVAC company to come, and they would say, oh, could you please make sure that the person that you send is vaccinated?
For the guy who goes on your roof.
Right. Because they don't want an unvaccinated person there to make them sick. The only way that would make any sense to me, and that was just kind of always the case for just the science I was following, is I can understand if someone didn't want an unvaccinated person at their house because them as a vaccinated person was concerned that that person wasn't protected and wanted to make sure that they were safe. Right. So I want to make sure that I don't give this person COVID and something bad happens. And I don't know how that got switched. I think very early on, that was just something that the government said. And we're just, the more that you repeat things to human beings, it's just like a machine, right? And it sticks. So it wasn't so much about whether it was true or whether it was false. They just said it enough to where we just believed it and it became the norm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sorry, I just got to make a sound here.
Oh,
Jason Christoff is someone you should look for.
Who?
He's a great conspiracy guy. Jason Christoff.
All right.
I'll write that
name down. I don't know if he's doing a lot of podcasts right now, but I had one with him, and he's a truth teller. He's also pretty intense.
Yeah.
So
you also talked to Gary Hill too, right?
I'm not from. No, I didn't talk to Gary Hill.
No, okay. I thought the pilot, right?
Greg Hill.
Greg. Oh, sorry,
Greg Hill. He's a great guy. We've actually become pretty good friends. Really down to earth dude. 3 tours. And just gets treated like garbage by some people, which I just don't understand. You know, someone that
I don't get that.
Yeah, fought for your country. You cannot like, his choice.
Yeah.
But literally, I mean, it was. I had announced that he was going to be on my show right around November 11th, Remembrance Day.
Right.
And when I did, oh my God, like the shitstorm that ensued after I said that he's going to be on there. And at the end, when everyone was done, I said, like, how despicable is it that you would treat a veteran this way?
Yeah.
You would think he murdered somebody.
I know.
He just made a choice. Wild. And not only did he just make a choice, he suffered the consequences of that choice. He lost his job, like a 6-figure salary flying planes.
Yeah.
And now you're going to demonize him even more?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was an international pilot, right?
Yeah, he worked for a major airline, and he did 3 tours in Afghanistan.
Wow.
Like, you couldn't pay me enough money to do that.
I know.
No.
And I can understand individuals, like individual people having their own opinions and blah, 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 about what he's done and what he's through his life and not supporting veterans. I see people like that. I don't understand them. But what blows my mind is how the government doesn't stand behind those people.
Oh, very good point.
They throw them out as trash. And they're the ones that fought for that government. Like, that's where I draw the line.
Nurses as well. I had a conversation with a lady named Carla, and she volunteered. She's at a paid position, but when COVID first hit, they had to find volunteers because a lot of people didn't want to have anything to do with it. We didn't know. It was just something from a wet market that was killing people.
Yeah.
And Carla volunteered to be a part of this COVID unit and worked in that COVID unit for well over a year. And obviously without, a vaccine. Yeah. And then when they're offered, she's like, you know what? I've been good over the last year and a half. I just don't feel the need to have this done. Like she's a healthy middle-aged woman. And then you say, well, we're going to fire you. And the only way I can see that is, wow, it's like they're disposable on multiple levels because it was okay for them. You would allow them to risk their lives when there was absolutely nothing that could save them, according to the science, right? They just went into it naked. And they're like, well, yeah, go ahead. We need you. And if you die, that's just what has to happen if we're going to save the whole. And then after the fact, she's done all that. She doesn't want to have this vaccine. And they toss her out the window anyways.
Yeah.
Even though like nothing's changed.
Yeah, that's horrible.
It's wild. My wife's a nurse in a big hospital around here. And the same thing happened there. When it became a mandate, they lost a third of their staff. Doctors, nurses, cleaners, everybody. They lost a third of them. And they haven't replaced them. And now the ones that are still left are just pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. Like, who here is not poked? I guess there's a couple of people here not poked.
You not poked?
Not
no,
poked.
Two of us are.
Heiko's not poked. Heiko is not.
Yeah.
Okay, Heiko's okay. I'm not poked either.
Uh-huh.
And the more this goes on, the more I feel comfortable in my decision.
Well, so here's something interesting, and it's really not. I'm kind of done with debating it because, like to your point, we don't know enough about long term, and so I respect both sides of it. But I've been experimenting with a VR, so like an Oculus kind of thing. So, and I'm very new to it, but I've been on these sort of forums, and what's amazing is just you feel like you're there, right? Because it's a 360 view of a virtual world. But there's a lot of, depending on what time you go on, there's a lot of people from India, right?
Okay.
So some of it, is just not worth spending time on, but there's a lot of articulate, very, very good conversations, very good topics. But I was chatting with someone yesterday that said, COVID, they don't have access to vaccine. From his opinion, it's terrible. He's got family members that have died. He said they can't even. There's no delineation between who's got COVID and who doesn't have COVID, and he just, he's suffered, having a lot of family members die, or they're trying to deal with it, and so it's a very different situation. I know from my personal experience, I've logged about 19 people that I personally know that have died and, chalked up as COVID. But so, yeah, it's really tough to say. I ended up getting it. I got it not too long ago. My daughter tested positive twice, and so I just assumed, okay, I've got it. I don't need to waste another rapid test. And I certainly felt like it. In fact, I'm rehearsing with a few band members, and we all think we got it at around the same time. Right. So, but regardless, having been vaxxed, we were all vaxxed. The effect or the symptoms weren't as pronounced. I mean, I certainly wasn't on death's door. So maybe the vaccine was good, at least in kind of tempering that down. But this guy from India, I mean, it was very sad. He said, I can't believe it. Right.
Right. And you know what? And I would love him to have the one that I passed on.
Yeah.
Instead, like, why are they jamming it down my throat? Like for me, I'm just in, like, this is something I followed pretty closely, and I'm not anti anything, I would never discourage somebody from going out there and getting vaccinated. That is absolutely 100% their call. I wouldn't want to be the person saying, don't do it, and then something bad does happen. I don't need that on my conscience, right? I want people to do what's most comfortable for them. But
it's having that choice.
It's having the choice. You're right.
That's it. Just the choice. I mean, the
See,
thing
I
in
felt
regards
I didn't
to
have a choice.
Government caring about me. You can drink yourself to death. You can be an alcoholic. You can walk in and you can buy a case of wine, and no one's going to bat an eye. You could be 500 pounds, and you could have someone roll you into a buffet, and you can eat yourself to death.
I did that today, in fact. Yes, but I didn't die. I went and had sushi. All you can eat. It was just...
You can smoke yourself to death, and at no point have you ever heard anyone say that we would neglect them the basics of Medicare if they were to get sick.
Yeah.
And for some twisted reason, that didn't follow through to, well, if I didn't want to get a poke, right? There were prints. Like, I have a severe distaste for media. I don't like media, period. And like, that's end stop, like everything.
Right.
And, you know, the fact that they would be so flagrant and have the disregard to run pieces on front pages talking about how unvaccinated people should die. Like, that's sickening. It's gross. It's disgusting. I can't believe we live in a society like that. And as far as I'm concerned,
we live on the fringe?
like George Orwell in 1984. Like, we're here.
This is 1984.
You're talking about the book, 1984.
Yeah, the book, the movie, all of it.
That it's incredible.
TV screen.
Yeah.
That TV screen says something, and then we just all do it. And it's because we grew up. I mean, we should be able to watch the news and not have to question it.
Yeah.
So Jason, we had it's funny you mentioned about like the media, and in our own small way, we're kind of a you know, because we talk about these types of topics, it's open, but we had a journalist in a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and it was pretty amazing because a lot of the questions I asked were around integrity, and you know, how do we know that we're not being lied to? And so he kind of gave us a bit of a backroom look at how all of this works, and you know, my thinking was, well, you're probably one of the few who, you know, don't cross the line, right? So I mean, he'd validate his sources and all of that stuff, and but to your point though, you know, the media, I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of the media. In fact, I was watching CP20. Well, I shouldn't name names, but
all owned by the
anyway,
same company. They're all owned by
it's all the same.
Whatever, it's all exactly. So, you know, at the end of the day, though, anything that they talk about is really becoming repulsive, and I shut it off. I just don't watch.
Well, look at this. We've talked about a couple of controversial things. Like, flat Earth pisses a lot of people off. When I said I was going to do flat Earth, there were people that went out of their way to send me a message to let me know they weren't going to watch it because flat Earth is stupid and dangerous. I'm like, what? Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Someone else is going to believe in flat Earth? Like, they're going to walk off? I don't know. Here we are, all different walks of life. We've never met one another. And here we are having a beautiful civil conversation. News does not give you this. News gives you divisiveness. It gives you like nothing but straight bias. You know, like in media,
bias,
they will constantly go out there. I've watched it throughout the whole pandemic of talking like to the dumbest fucking person in the crowd, pardon my language, to get their point of view. And people think, that's the truth. Never thinking like they could have had 10 or 15 amazing responses from articulate individuals, but that didn't play into the story that they want to tell. So we're not going to play any of those. We're just going to give you the dummy. People assume there's only dummies there. They just only showed you dummies. What are the odds when you just take a look at just ratios that everyone at that rally was stupid?
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, CBC got caught with its pants down the other day when they were talking to someone that was at the truckers rally. They rolled up to some dude that didn't look all that articulate. And this guy was very articulate, and he was a professor. And that didn't last too long. She looked for a way out because that's not scary. Ooh, look at this. He was talking about how legally this wasn't right and whatever it might be. And so this is the example of like an open forum. I don't know why we don't have the best doctors in the world right now in this type of forum sharing information with one another. And if the doctors are quacks, like, listen, if you're exposing it to the world, there's going to be someone that's going to be able to pull out the weak links.
But we don't, but the doctors do. Like, I have a cousin who's a doctor. I have a friend who's a doctor. The doctors do talk amongst themselves. The thing about the two doctors I know is that they're both on both opposite sides of the fence. So I'm fucking confused. Right? But when they talk amongst each other, but you're getting threatened to lose your license. you can't practice anymore if you say this, right? Like there's doctors that are hiding too. They're scared too.
I'll give you an example in regards to just how media lies. And I'm going to use just a very, very gentle example that I use with a lot of people.
Okay.
And it's not to say that I'm a bad person, but this is just what we do. I'd be, hey, how you doing? J-Man here. It's 11:58, 2 minutes away from the top 6 at 11, right? And I'm telling you guys to call in and send me emails, and I want you to vote for the number 1 tune of the night. And so, of course, people call in. They're sending me emails, this and that, right? And on my playlist, I have 1 to 6. Do you know when that playlist was written?
3 months ago?
Way before.
Yeah, before. I didn't write it down just then and there. It's already in the computer.
Yeah.
I'm manipulating you into believing that somehow you have some type of effect on the outcome.
Yeah.
And I know fully well that's not going to happen. My job is just to produce theater for you. I'm supposed to make it exciting and give you what you want or what I believe you want. I knew it was going to be Coldplay before I even sat down in the chair.
Yeah.
Because I saw that playlist 3-4 days ago. And I'm like, look at this, Coldplay, blah. So all I do is I take the phone calls that come in and say, yeah, I want Coldplay to be number 1 on tonight's top whatever. I play that along with the song. And then everyone's like, woohoo, like, of course. All we do is just pick the hottest song. It's obvious. There's charts all over the place. Now, if that's just me, Joe Schmo, filling in for an evening show on the radio, you don't think that gets manipulated as you start going up the rungs? It's just different levels of theater.
Yeah.
And so I just don't know where it starts and where it stops. And I don't think that people in media are bad by any stretch. That's not what I'm saying. Like we've seen with mandates, that people will do things that they don't want to do to save their jobs. It's a very, very powerful thing.
Jason, that is a great point, because our show, for instance, we're live. We've always been live. We were linked into a couple of stations at one point that moved from our show being live to a pre-record. We don't. It's our choice. We want to be live because we rely. What makes up our show are really our audience, right? And the fact that they do interact with us. Some nights are, great nights. We have hundreds of people on, and then some nights are thin, but we're still there for them. So we have a pretty loyal following, and they want to see us live. They want to be able to be part of the show and interact. So to your point, absolutely. I can't, that's a big beef of mine with radio stations that they've got the, everything's automated now, and they make it appear that, hey, somebody's calling in live, and so they're essentially lying to us.
Yes.
And it's another lie, right? There's nothing. It's lost all its substance as far as I'm concerned. There's nothing. I like the unpredictable, right? And a lot of people, I think, do. That's why reality content and live casts and stuff like that, they're very unpredictable, right? You can't go back. Like, you have a podcast. Podcasts are great. If you want to, structure, get your points across, make sure it's edited well. We're not like that. We're very raw, right? And whatever happens, happens. And sometimes we, say some things that we probably shouldn't. And if we catch them and retract them, whatever, or apologize. But we do our best to kind of keep that in order. But it's unpredictable. You don't know when Ringo's going to go off on a rant, right? So
speaking of that, Ringo being unpredictable and raw and everything, and seeing that Jason is a radio personality, maybe we should finish up with George's backside. Maybe Jason can figure out what it is.
There's a couple of things here. Just to chip in. I mean, I was to illustrate that I had these conversations a long time ago. Maybe even, say, a bit more recently. It was in the 80s. Now, just Greenham Common. Do you know what Greenham Common was? The protests against the American air bases in the UK.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Really? Okay. The way that was covered, I mean, check it out. It was Greenham Common, and it was to do with the air bases in East Anglia, which is in the UK. And I think the problem, but they were bringing over nuclear warheads, because of NATO and all that. So there's this big protest at Greenham Common, and it started off. It was mostly like women. It was like the women of Greenham, I think, were protesting this, and it was like grannies and mothers and what have you, you know. But then you got the BBC, you know, the truth is truth, you know.
Well, yeah.
Their coverage in the evenings. This is where, you know, here we go again. It was like the kids, the punks that were there, you know, with things through, you know, noses, red hair, and that's who they were interviewing.
Right.
And I knew somebody who went down there, and I thought, that is shocking to portray that in such a manner. You know what I mean? So it's like, and there's a few more examples of that. And here we are still talking about the way that, so I agree with you entirely. It's nothing new. It's not just happened, you know, in the last 5-10 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
But on a lighter note, so I always like to ask our guests, what was the first album you ever bought, Jason?
Oh my God.
Everyone says that.
That's a really great question. Like, my musical tastes have evolved so much throughout the years. I think it was Bobby Brown.
Oh, wow.
Don't Be Cruel.
Oh, nice.
And I listened to that thing over and over and over again. Like, unbelievable. And I still love some of those tunes.
So that was CD?
I think it was a CD. It could have been a cassette. I had a cassette player for a long time.
It was my prerogative on that album.
Oh,
that's right.
Brother. Yes. See, I knew it. I knew we were connected. I knew it. I knew you and I were connected.
There you go.
Yeah, my prerogative is a good one. That's one of the best. And Don't Be Cruel.
You still have it?
Title track is good.
Cruel,
No, I don't. If I did, it's somewhere else. I have it on MP3 like everybody else. You know what I mean? It's stored on one of my favorite playlists.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I have to do something like that with my podcast. I don't have like this one definitive, like in the studio type question to ask at the end. I like that one. Maybe that'll be it. I'm going to hijack it.
Okay, you're welcome. Be my guest.
All right, so you're going to show us your backside and maybe
we'll give
us
it
one
more
guess
whirl,
at it, and then we'll wrap her up.
See if you can guess what this is, J-Man. It's the backside of an album. So you got to guess what the album is.
We're just going to switch panels, give you some.
You won't really get too much from the album itself.
So
I don't know. It looks very Christopher Crossish. I know it's not, but it looks very Christopher Crossish.
No, it's British. He's a British artist.
British? Oh my God, I'm nuts.
Started off in the 60s. He was huge in the early 70s.
Oh, we got a Cat Stevens or Tom Jones.
I saw Tom Jones. That was Victor, right?
I love Tom Jones. Hey, Praise and Blame. If anyone likes Tom Jones, Praise and Blame was a gospel album that he put out when I was working at Dog FM. So maybe it's about 10 years old. Amazing disc.
He's an amazing career, but it's not Tom Jones.
What about Cat Stevens?
Who said that one?
Gary, the drummer.
Yeah,
Gary
Gary.
Lightowler. Gary Lightowler.
Yeah.
He reckons it's Cat Stevens.
Yes.
Oh.
There you go. Cat
I had
Stevens.
no idea Cat Stevens was from the UK.
Like that.
Oh, yeah.
I like Rory
Numbers.
Gallagher.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's Irish.
Gallagher brothers?
Yeah.
Rory Gallagher. Oh, the Gallagher brothers. That's Neil and Liam.
Yeah.
This was when he went through his numerology period and he was searching, and then he disappeared in 1979 for 26 years.
Amazing.
He went off to
He
follow
just
his
went to the
Muslim
cottage.
faith.
Right.
Sabbatical?
Oh, and
He
there's
went
another
off
good
to
documentary.
to Islam.
Searching for
right
Sugar
on.
Man. That's a good one too. You should check that out if you haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah?
You guys like music. Yeah, Searching for Sugar Man. He had like a big hit in, I believe it was in the United States. Then his career just kind of fizzled out, and he didn't know that some other part of the world, his album was like, it was the biggest thing. People loved him there. So he found out, and he carried on his career over there. It's a really fascinating story.
So, Jason, we love having you on. Hopefully we can get you back again. Was there anything that you wanted to maybe let our watchers know that might be coming up, or
Something you want to plug?
anything we missed?
Yeah, well, I mean, with the Emergencies Act that just passed, I might have to relax some of my show content. I do a lot of mandate stuff, and I'm not sure what I should be talking about and what I shouldn't be talking about.
Right.
Right.
But the way that I conduct my podcast is very much how you guys do it. I really have to commend you. I've had a really great time doing this, and I've been on some ones that I didn't have so much fun on, and I love how you guys express your opinion. So people that like your stuff, I think that they would like my stuff. It's just a little bit more structured, and it's me and generally just one other guest. But right now I deal with a lot of mandate stuff, a lot about freedom of speech. And I really do come from the heart in regards to when I say we just have to be better. Like those are hashtags that I use. Be better together, to love one another, and to realize sometimes, when are we being fed a script? When do we really feel a certain way about something? And when are we being told to feel a certain way about something? And innately, I believe that human beings are good. And so let's just do our best to be kind with one another, regardless wherever our politics may lie.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great message. Great message.
Yeah. And we can find you at J-Man is Alive.
Yeah, look for me on YouTube. I love it. YouTube.com/J-Man is Alive. That's where you can find a lot of my show content. The launchpadpodcast.com, but at J-Man is Alive on all my social medias. And when you guys are talking about like showing your behind, I thought George was going to show his ass. I didn't know what was going on.
maybe one day if we're really lucky.
Yeah, I'm like, I hope they don't ask me to do that too, because
that's why the ratings go down around 9 or 10 o'clock.
See, George has his little thing. So what about just something that I like to dig up, like your Friday's useless facts?
Yeah. You know what? I really do appreciate the research. I don't know how many people go out of their way to let you know, but there's nothing that's better than knowing that someone put a little bit of time and effort into some of the things that you did.
Right.
But yeah, and that has never ever come up. So great job. But that was one of the things I really enjoyed doing on the radio. It was one of my longest running features, and it was just simply that simple stuff that people could laugh at. You've probably heard the one about a pig's orgasm lasting 30 minutes. A whale's penis is called a dork. Things of that nature. And I would start to go into it a little bit deeper sometimes, just going out there and finding funny laws that exist. But really always putting my focus in regards to my shows on just making sure people are having a good time, laughing, hopefully, at least a smile, and enjoying some good music and trying to pass on the good vibes.
Very excellent. Awesome. Very good.
So
and that's what I do sometimes too. I'll do where some of our old sayings come from.
Oh, I like that.
And we'll throw those out there,
Yeah, like I bite my thumb at you, something like that. Right?
Say the bell, that sort of
Remember,
thing.
you ever hear all those?
Yeah, I have, but I don't know the origin of a lot of those, though.
Oh, well, Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
Is what happened back in the day is they used to bury people, but they didn't have the medicine and technology like we have today. So people actually were buried alive. They were still alive. Right. And the only reason they knew this is because of grave robbers. They'd bring up a coffin and they'd find all the claw marks, the scratch marks in the lid and wood under the nails. So what they started to do is they had a tube come out of the coffin above ground, and there was a little tiny bell on it, and it was tied to the big toe.
Wow.
So what would happen if you were still alive and you came to, right? There were people that were working, quote, the graveyard shift, because they would walk around the cemetery at night. That's where that saying came from.
Well, there's a couple in there. So graveyard shift and Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell, and the people that were saved by the bell were called dead ringers.
Get out of town. I like that one.
See? So
I'm stealing that too.
No, go for it, man. We love doing that kind of stuff.
I got to take that. I got to moon people. Wait, I got to remember. It's the back of an album. I got to remember.
Backside. You're going to say not the front side, the backside.
Yes.
Backside.
Yeah.
So Jason, if you have any interesting things that are coming up on your show and you want to share that to our page, feel free to do that anytime or reach out. And but yeah, it was great having you on, and definitely like to have you back again. I mean, this was a great conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. You guys are great. Honestly, I had a blast, and with a 4-person panel with a fifth is not easy to navigate. No. And you guys do a fantastic job. I had such a great time with this conversation. Thank you. And I'm going to make sure to be sharing your channel out with a lot of people, because I think they'd enjoy it a whole lot too.
Great.
Awesome.
We appreciate
Thank you very much.
All right. So I guess, Hike, bring her home.
Bring her home. I know. I had one more question I was going to throw at Jay, just to see what his opinion is. And it's got to do with all the nonsense that's going out there. And I throw this question at people a lot too, is they have been saying for decades that the world is overpopulated, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to run out of water, going to run out of food, all this stuff. So I ask people sometimes, say, why would they come out with a vaccine and make mandates to save everybody on the planet when we well know we're far overpopulated?
Right. Are you asking me, is this thing a tool of destruction?
I'm asking you what your opinion is on that. What do you think that is?
Oh boy, this is it's a difficult question. Because I have given it some thought.
Yes.
Right. Because I don't think it's so outrageous to think about.
No.
That's, oh my God, I could do a whole show just on this show. Okay, but I'll summarize it quickly.
Yeah.
Is that there's a lot of stuff that has happened over the past 2 years that I would keep on saying no to. Right. There's a lot of things that I've heard before this, like 9/11. I would bet everything that I own that the narrative we've been told is not the right one. I don't know what happened. I don't know why. I never pretend to be the answer guy, but I just know that there's something that doesn't add up. And I guess in regards to the population thing, I cannot get there. And I know people in my network that are thinking along those lines that it could be. I can't bring myself, for whatever reason, knowing all the heinous things that have already been done on this planet, that is true. But then, like, who knows? That's always my answer. I will never say no to something. Who knows? It's a stretch.
They know.
But there we go. Finish on that. They know. And know what? There's nothing wrong with questioning anything. As long as it's not becoming disruptive to your life, I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning everything. And so, ask people and see what they think. And you never know what you might uncover.
Yeah. Right. Awesome, buddy. Thank you so much.
No worries.
We really thank you, all four of us, for coming on our show. And I also want to thank people that were a part of the show tonight, which is Melanie. She was the first guest again. She's rocking it. Yeah. It's Melanie, Sandra, or Deborah. They're always the first ones in there. Then we had Kathy, James, Victor, Sandra, Gary, Jr., Cody, Richard, Carrie, and Sally. Thank you so much for being on the Heikadelic Show. And we're all going to be back here next Monday night at 9:30, right here on the Heikadelic Show. Thanks, Jay, man.
Take care.
And see you guys later.
Well, that's another wrap for the Heikadelic Show, folks, so time to get dirty. And don't forget, listen in next week on Monday night and every Monday after that for the Heikadelic Show at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like more information on the Heikadelic Show, please find us at www.theheikedelicshow.com or .ca. We'll see you all next week on the Heikadelic Show. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor for the Heikadelic Show, it's easy. Just send us an email at info@theheikedelicshow.com. Meanwhile, you can browse our website at www.theheikedelicshow.com or .ca. Click on our sponsor tab and find out more information on sponsorships. Thanks for joining the Heikadelic Show, fans.